Hey everybody, it's Dottie again. I know I just did a video recently, but somebody asked me about yellowing and I said I was going to try and do it before I go on vacation. So here's my video. So I'm starting with this saying yellowing is something that is unpreventable entirely. So, I mean, in 10 years, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. Your doll is going to have yellowed a little bit no matter what you do. But what you can do is you can reduce the effects of yellowing. So I have two Cerberus Project feet here. This is a Cerberus Project boy foot, and this is a girl foot. This one I got in 2000, it was made in 2004, I got it in 2005. And this one I got more recently in 2008. So, I know this camera's not very good, but can you see that they are different? This one is darker than this one. Well, that's because this foot has yellowed over time. But sunlight is one of the main causes for yellowing. So, the first thing to do is not leave your dolls in direct sunlight. A little bit of sunlight is not going to hurt them. So, if you're going to take your doll out for an afternoon in the park to take pictures, don't worry about it. Don't be like covering your doll, looking like a little weirdo. It's fine. Like an afternoon in the sun really is not going to make a noticeable difference in the resin change. I am doubtful that there even would be a difference. Yellowing, a lot of people actually think it's something beautiful. They think it's the aging of the doll, it's natural for that to happen, and they think it's a beautiful thing. So it's not something to freak out about. Other things, don't leave your dolls in windows, things like that, pretty much. Just common sense, don't leave your doll in direct sunlight. But it does come down to over the years, and it will be years before you notice yellowing. Like, I'm pretty sure this is really hard to tell the difference, and this color, this darker color, it does not bother me. It is not a bad color. This one is just whiter. That's the only difference between them. If you saw this and looked at it, you wouldn't be saying, oh my god, that doll is yellowed. Like, it's hard to tell. A lot of people don't even notice if their doll yellows, just because it's so hard, it's so subtle and slight. So other ways to prevent it. Obviously, first one, keep them away from direct sunlight, but, a few hours in between for a photo shoot really isn't going to matter. So, what you can do, the first thing and the easiest thing, get a UV cut fixative. These are the two that I know of that are proven safe to use on your dolls. This is Mr. Super Clear, and as you can see, UV cut. That's what you want to look for. It's usually $1 or $2 more expensive for the UV cut, but this is supposed to reduce the UV rays hitting your doll, and instead of your doll yellowing, the fixative will. And then this is Volk spray. This is their Zokemura finishing spray. And as you can see, it also says UV cut. So this provides the same function. It hasn't been as tested, obviously, for yellowing just because it's only been around for a year or two. So these two fixatives, if you're really worried about it, this is the best thing you can do to alleviate your fears besides keeping your doll in a box in a closet the entire time. Now, in my understanding also of yellowing, even if you keep them in a dark box in a closet, they will yellow just because of the resin oxidizing over time. I believe, it's really subtle so you can't tell, but I believe that what happened to this darker foot, this is the darker foot, since the entire body is a uniform color, I believe it's more the resin oxidizing than yellowing from sun exposure. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about tan resin now. I should have gotten a visual aid for this, but I don't have one right now. So, yellowing on tan resin is different than on white skin or normal skin, just because tan is a much more concentrated color. So, the aging process of tan resin is different. What happens that scares people is that there was one doll, a doll caught Kiss, that somebody brought out to a meetup in a park, and it turned green within a matter of hours. Now, that scared everybody really bad about yellowing on their dolls, and especially tan dolls. But what I want to say about that is that was a doll that wasn't supposed to happen. That doll must have had a problem with the resin curing and the colorant on top of it, because that was the only tan kiss that happened to. So don't freak out about taking your tan dolls outside either. If that happens, you should contact the company, because that means they did something wrong. You didn't. I have 2 tan dolls, one of which I'm selling right now, but neither of them have had this greening problem. And why they turn green is not because the resin is like super oxidizing. It's because to make a darker color, they have to use more pigment, and to get a nice brown color, they have to use red, yellow, and blue. And of those 3 colors, red is the one that fades the fastest. Like, have you ever seen the American flags on the back of people's trucks? And how the red stripe's the first thing to disappear. So that's what was happening. Something happened there that wasn't supposed to. So, I mean, it can turn into that over time, but that would be years and years that your doll would turn green, and in that time, it wouldn't just be the red fading, it would be the rest of the colors, and your doll would eventually get slightly paler. So, tan dolls, it's not supposed to turn green like that. There have been 2 dolls that I know of that's happened to. The Kiss, and there was an Eiffel House Real Skin Acondo before they started putting in stabilizers into the resin, and I think that's why they started putting stabilizers in, because somebody's Acondo turned green. So I don't mean to scare you by telling you these stories, but I'm just trying to give you the facts of what has happened in the past, why it's happened, and why you shouldn't necessarily be afraid of it happening to you. So I'm hoping nobody's going to be like, oh god, my doll's going to turn green? Heat is another factor that can affect resin yellowing, but it's only been shown to be a factor when people are heating up doll parts, like in an oven, and the parts turn yellow. That's the only context that I've read about where parts, within a day they have turned yellow. That said, I wouldn't keep your doll like on top of your space heater or something, or near the vents. Like I said, unless you're putting on top of a radiator, heat isn't going to matter that much if you live in Minnesota versus Florida. It's just not going to be a very big factor in yellowing. So, I mean, different companies' resins yellow differently. They yellow at different rates. I should mention that French resin yellows the fastest because it is more translucent, so the light can penetrate further into the resin and it causes it to yellow faster. Nares are the ones that usually show this the most because they were originally made in French resin. So that's all I really have to say about yellowing for now. If somebody has any questions about yellowing, feel free to leave a comment on the video, or if I forgot something, which I probably did, but I just did my best to try and explain my knowledge of resin yellowing, and really, don't be afraid of it. It's really not a big deal. It's only going to be a problem, like I said, if you leave your doll in a 100-degree room in broad daylight in a window, where it's directly under the sun. And even then, it's going to take a week or 2 to get really bad. I mean, don't freak out. It's not something to freak out about. I know everybody's like, oh my god, in a year my doll's going to be butter yellow. Alright, well, I hope I at least put some fears at ease instead of adding new ones for you guys. Hopefully I'll see you next time after I get back from my vacation.